I'm Sally McDonough. Welcome to LBA's Intro to Dough. Today we're going to work with Danish dough. Sometimes your Danish pastries come out perfectly and sometimes they have problems. I'm going to go through the 4 steps so you can have perfect pastries every time. Let's take a look at these. This is a pretty perfect looking bear claw. This bear claw has some problems. It was underproofed and it was underbaked. Let's cut into it and see what the bottom looks like. That is underbaked, underproofed dough. It would taste a little greasy and very heavy. So today we are working with a 15 by 22 sheet of LBA's Danish dough. You want to pull out of the freezer exactly how much you need and thaw for about 10 minutes at room temperature. It should be cold and pliable. Now, if you look closely at this, there's quite a bit of flour on it. This is just dusting flour. It's not going to hurt anything, but it could make your pastry a little bit tough. So all you need to do is take a nice soft brush and get rid of that extra dusting flour. Very simple. Now we are ready to start cutting these. Our sheets are 15, so we're going to cut into 5-inch long strips. That way you can do 3 rounds of Danish bear claws. So I'm gonna notch those and then I'm just gonna roll right on down. I'm gonna notch that one and roll right on down. Pretty darn close. And I'm gonna work with one, and I'm gonna set these aside. And what I would do if I were in a warm bakery is I would work with one at a time, and the other 2 I would put on a parchment lined tray and stick them back in the cooler with a little bit of saran wrap over the top. Okay, so we've got our clean tray with parchment on it. And I'm going to lay this out because I don't want to have to move it after I have filled and rolled these. So we're going to do cherry today. I have my cherry filling in a pastry bag, and what I learned is you twist the back and you're always going to squeeze from this end. So I'm going to run my filling right about down the center. And then I'm going to show you a little tip that a baker taught me so your filling does not burn out through those claws. And I don't go quite to the ends because as you roll it, it will come on down. So this is my little tip. We're actually going to roll this over and then we're going to have a seam on the bottom. And that way, when we cut the claws, they will hold our filling so it doesn't come out when it's baked. So I'm just pressing down along the edge that I'm going to roll my bear claw cutter down because I want a nice flat surface for that to come down. I'm going to go in about 3/8 of an inch. Just gonna roll all the way down. Danish is a wonderful, rich, buttery, sweet dough. So you only wanna put sweet fillings in this, but it's great for coffee cakes and all sorts of shapes. If you wanted to, you could curve this right into a circle and you would have almost an instant coffee cake. But today, we're doing traditional bear claws. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some of them in about 5-inch portions. Then all you need to do is curve those little claws out a little bit. And when you're baking in a convection oven, you always want to have all your corners covered. And this is a yeast dough, so I'm going to teach you a little trick. What I do is I measure a single layer of the dough. It's just under 1/4 of an inch. So I want this dough to about double in size. So when it's just under 1/2 an inch, it's ready to bake. If you really start seeing the layers coming out in any laminated dough, you've probably proofed it a little too much. This is now ready to go either in a proof box that's at about 85 degrees and about 85% humidity. That's kind of our magic numbers. I highly suggest you put a thermometer in your proof box because a lot of them aren't calibrated. If you need to do this dough at room temperature, you can actually prep these the afternoon before, cover them with plastic wrap. If I keep the bags that the product comes in and I just cover them with a bag, and then you can put that in your cooler overnight. The next morning, bring it out, and you know that it was just under 1/4 of an inch, so you need to go just below 1/2 an inch, and when it's come up to that height, it's ready to bake. I've had some people that have tried to speed that process up by putting it on top of the oven. This dough has so much butter in it that if you do that with too much heat and you get little pools of butter, it's really not gonna rise right. The other thing you probably noticed when I panned this up, I allowed what I call my friendly bubble. This dough is going to be nearly tripled by the time it's baked, so you wanna give each of them a nice bubble so they're not gonna hit each other and they're not going to hit the edges of the pan. So we are going to put that in the proof box and wait until it's about doubled. So here we have them. They're just under about 1/2 an inch, and I can barely see some of the laminating coming out. That's when they're ready to bake. A lot of people like to put a clear glaze on their Danish. Maybe you've got an almond filling and you want just a nice, light, slightly almond flavored glaze. So what you want to do then is right when they come out of the oven, when they're warm, brush on that clear glaze, then it kind of soaks in. But today I'm going to show you a really easy way. We've thinned out just some vanilla frosting, and all you have to do, you want to get your fingers nice and full, and you just stream it over and stream it back, and you have a very pretty decorative top on them. That's all there is to it, to the glazing. So there you have it, perfect Danish bear claws. Let's go through those 4 steps. Thaw it till it's cold and pliable, shape it and fill it, proof it until it's just under double in size, bake it off, and glaze or frost it. And then you too can have perfect Danish every time.